All right. It is 7 PM on July 7th, 2020, and we're going to open the Committee of Committees meeting. You roll call, please.
Yes. Matt, I'm gonna need you to grab one of those mics and haul it towards you. All right, committee members, Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot, William Luxinger is absent, Dina Simpson is absent, Jen Christensen,
Here.
Jared Doan,
Here.
President Rick Worm,
Here.
Brenda Onabany, I Clerk Sandy Mazen here, Engineer Matt Hanson,
Here.
Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie.
Here.
All right. Entertain a motion for the meeting minutes.
I will make a motion for to approve the June 2nd, 2020 Committee of Committee minutes.
Second.
Jen makes the motion, not Dina, to approve the June 2nd, 2020 Committee of Committee meeting minutes. Jared seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no. Motion passes 7:02. Run a little, come on, it won't move. Oh, it moved. There it goes. It was stuck. It was saying not responding. Okay, so we'll move on to the report of the officers. We'll start off with the discussion on public comment policy. Sandy?
So in the board packet, you saw Dan's email with his concerns, our original public comment policy, and the temporary public comment policy that we passed. When Dan sent me that email, I responded back to him and I said, I will always share a resident's comment that they leave with me, whether it be on a voicemail or in writing or via message or any other means, if they ask me to do so, regardless of what our public comment policy says, simply because that is good communication. But he wants to know if you guys would like any changes to our permanent public comment policy to allow for public comment via phone, voicemail, message, those types of things as a formal change.
Not me. I think if you wanna come make a comment, come in and make a comment.
I'm fine with it.
I agree with that.
Alright? Yeah, and I told him, not on the policy, I will never stop. If somebody asks me to share something with you guys, I always will.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
But I just think if you want to come in,
Yeah.
make a comment, probably, if it's worth your time, please come in and make your comment.
Alright, so then I'll just let Dan know that the board is okay with everything else, the status quo.
The next one is the ratification, or discussion of the ratification of the ordinance. Basically approving everything we've done because of the governor's executive orders, and saying that we are on board with what we did, that we've approved what we did. You guys had a chance to read it and go over it, and
I did. How does that work now? I thought he was overturned on part of his emergency order. Is it?
he has been, but he's trying to find a higher court, obviously, to overturn
Yeah,
that.
I saw that.
IDPH,
He was overturned in one county, but there's 4 or 5 who backed it, so we're kind of in this conundrum space. I talked to Dan, and we as a village need to continue following phase 4 until formal.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that we don't follow it voluntarily. That's not what I'm saying.
but
I just-
either way, as Sandy pointed out previously, IDPH can still has the authority to put a lot of these things in place even without the executive order.
Yeah.
So, we're still gonna be following the guidelines, but, yeah, it was kind of a nice reprieve.
Are there any questions on this ordinance, or is everybody comfortable if I stick it on the consent agenda for next week?
Yeah.
Good. Jen?
Yes, I sure, sorry, yeah.
Chris?
Go ahead.
All right.
All right, we'll move on to Sandy.
So the first one on there is the annual fee ordinance. There had been some changes over the last 6 months that we just needed to clean up and put in there. Some of them being the park fees that were previously approved by the board are now in there with the modification that if you're using it for practice and no village services are required, that you still have to fill out a special use, but there's no fee, which is what I believe was discussed a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that was,
And then the other major change in there is, building permit fees. So currently, right now, the village is breaking even on its building permit fees. When we retained the new company, we knew that some of the fees were higher where some are lower. And so to combat that, I've suggested an administrative fee to help cover the village's costs. I think I put it in there at 15%. So it would be the building fee, the plan review fee, the building fee, and the administrative fee for a total fee for when people are building, whether it be new home or addition. The other major change out of there is I removed everything commercial, and the commercial will go by the current building inspector's fees, because there's simply 4 pages of commercial fees.
You know, I saw the change in the one we were discussing with Nate,
Yes.
you know, but I didn't see an administration fee. What is
You
that?
won't on that side, so that's just the parks. On the parks, there's no administration.
No, what's the administration fee
That's
for the?
on building permit.
I get that. What is it? I didn't
I
catch
think
that.
that's at 15%.
Are you asking what's it for?
No, I know what it's
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
I get that. I just didn't see where it actually said it. I
Yeah,
guess
it's
I
the
was
first-
looking at more of
yeah,
the
it's
stuff
the
that was
first
highlighted
line.
in blue.
Oh. So the.
Is that what it is, 8-1? Thank you.
What page is that on? It's on page 7 of that ordinance. Oh. It's on page 22 of the packet or so.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the ordinance, chapter 8-1, the 15% cumulative total of applicable plan review fees, permit fees, and occupancy
Yep,
fees
so
for,
So essentially, a defense permit fee is approximately $95. It would go to $109.25. So it's not even $15. I mean, obviously, that was just my suggestion. If you guys want to change that, I'm open. I just don't think that, I think that my fees should also be covered, and they're currently not.
I was just trying to calculate it was, so let's say you put up a fence, you're looking at a $25 fee plus $35 for inspection on how many ever those are.
2.
So you have,
Yeah, a fence is typically $95 with the new building inspector, and so then my
and then
fee would be an
be
additional.
15% of that $95.
Yeah, so
All
that
right.
it would go from 95 to 109.25.
All right, that's not an issue for me.
When somebody gets a permit for whatever they're doing, how long does, is there an expiration date on that?
Yes, yes, so a permit is good for a year, but building has to start within 6 months. If building doesn't start within 6 months, it expires, and then it expires after a year.
Okay.
I actually have a home developer right now that is gonna have to pay fees because it's been more than a year and the permits have expired. The permit fee to renew it is half the cost of the original permit, unless more than 6 months have passed, then you have to pay a whole new permit fee.
That's what I.
So somebody who's, say, I don't know, building a deck in their backyard, it takes them, no,
3 years?
I don't know how long, it's been a long
They
time.
would need to renew it.
Who checks on it? Does somebody?
The new building inspector will now know these things, but, previously, somebody would have to bring it to my attention.
All right.
If you know of somebody, let me know.
So you don't know, but you should know that when they expire, right?
I do.
You don't tap and check to see if they're finished, all
Well,
right?
'cause the new building inspector will follow up on the new ones issued.
Our new building inspector actually also sends me all of the paperwork that they do, so I now see the finalized paperwork. So I started a new spreadsheet with some more columns on it, and so now Brenda and I are keeping track of what we spend on the building inspector versus what we're taking in for funds, and now I also added a line on there for finals, so that I know whether or not they've been finaled out.
All right. I don't really know how long somebody's been doing it, it just seems like forever to
I
me.
know. I know.
Is there any other changes, just out of curiosity?
there-
I read through it, but I
There's
can't,
little ones here and there, so, Mark from Ansel Blink and I have been going back with this document during this entire COVID time, since we knew we had a little bit of time for it, we wanted to, add fees. And so I think there was a change, we've always charged an additional $2 for an extra garbage can, but that didn't make it into the annual fee ordinance when we originally created it, so I put that back in there.
do people actually pay that? 'Cause
They do, so they pay $17.95 instead of $15.95 for their trash.
how do we know that? I mean, just saying, how do we know that they have an extra one?
I have to order it.
All right,
Yeah, because the extra cans are ordered through the village.
all right.
So I added that change. Trying to think of what else is in there. As I said, the major ones were the park fees,
Yeah, I saw the extra
And,
$2 one, and I saw all the park fees, I just didn't know what was new or not. It's stuff in blue is new, right?
All of it in color is new.
Alright.
Some of them are marked, some of them are mine, some of them are my second changes. So that's why they're showing up in different colors. As I said, we've kind of battled this back and forth a little bit here. But I did make the building inspection fees match the new building inspector so that we're breaking even there. Also, I had to add solar. We've had, since March, I have processed 51 building permits, and I guess that probably 5 to 10 of them are solar. And so we made sure that the solar was in here. And then our new building inspector also does zoning. And so I had to add those fees in here too in case we ever need to use them for those purposes. Let me scroll through real quick.
I have a silly question.
Yeah.
If a resident has a garbage can that's get busted, do they have to come in and pay for a new one?
No, they just have to call me. Nope, happens all the time.
I was gonna say, since you see how they drop them and they go rolling
Yeah,
and then
there's a new guy, there's a new guy
guy.
picking up who's horrible.
And there's a middle ones in the middle, what?
There's mulch hitting the window.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the
I
other
don't
thing
think I'm
is
pulling.
the fee. I'm looking, I don't see anything.
What are you looking at?
Yeah?
Oh, it's just really windy.
Yeah.
All right.
Where that came from, I don't know.
Yeah. The special use park permit for resident and not-for-profits is going from $0 to $30, only to cover the cost of Nate and I processing the applications and, any work that we do when we're out there.
Special use permit for what?
Going for that.
Like what?
The park.
I know, but like for what?
If they wanna use the baseball fields or the soccer fields or.
On a
have group
one-time
of
thing,
boys
or you
on.
mean for like a season?
It is per soccer and football season or baseball event.
Yeah, well, you're talking about tournament though,
Yes,
right? Yes,
yes.
all right, that's not it. It would be, if it was one game, I think that'd be a lot, but,
Yeah, no, we realize that, so we added that language in there as well. The $2 garbage container. I think that's the majority of it.
I'll read it over again,
Yeah, but
I-
if you guys don't have any objections, I'm gonna stick it on the consent agenda, and then if you see something that you need ahead of time, just let me know and I'll pull it.
no
When you
problem.
say garbage containers, that also include recycling?
Extra recycling toters do not have an additional cost.
Okay.
Are they actually recycling the stuff? There's been some debate.
I have not asked.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's all I have on that one. And then, the next one is just cleaning the surplus property, it's just a bunch of electronics sitting upstairs, cell phones, including some nice flip phones, laptops. I know, and so that's all it is. If anybody has any questions on it, let me know, otherwise I'll stick it on the consent agenda.
Yeses.
All right, anything else?
No. Oh, it is yours.
Do you want to discuss that now?
No, I just did that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm glad you were paying attention.
Brenda?
Well, mine is just the resolution setting the compensation for, that we do every year for the clerk and the treasurer, which you guys approved on May 1st. So that's all that is, updating the resolution.
Do we have a problem with those going on next week?
Yeah, don't put those on the consent agenda.
I already was
All right.
aware of that, I will stick them underneath Brenda, it doesn't change anything regardless
I
of
know.
what happened.
I know.
I was aware that that was not gonna be a consent agenda item for ya.
Anything further, Brenda?
No,
Matt?
All right.
wait, I do have one more thing.
Oh,
There's a TIF meeting tomorrow. So that's our annual TIF meeting.
3 o'clock, if anybody wants to come.
Yeah, it's always really fun.
depends on how hot I am, I might.
Meeting is posted.
Okay, that's all I have.
That's your,
3 o'clock.
You guys just get together with Dollar General or what?
Now, it's Brenda as the village representative, me as the clerk, Glenda Livingdale as our village representative, our attorneys, the TIF consultant,
Holy crap.
the school district, the township, the road district, the library district, the county clerk,
Sid School,
and it's his school, and a few others that I invite in there, plus 3 residents who asked for notification.
well, that sounds like one big old party.
It is, most of them are attending via Zoom this time. So So if anybody wants to join electronically, let me
Is that
know.
here?
I'll send you the link.
It's right here, yeah.
You gotta be careful
It's a posted public meeting.
though. Okay.
Oh, you can't have 50 people now.
No open meetings act violations if it's not posted.
Oh, gotcha.
As long as it's a posted public meeting.
I thought he meant COVID.
No, I wanna make sure that we weren't getting more than two elected officials in any one spot if it wasn't
Nope.
open.
Posted and on the front door.
Beautiful. Follow the rules. That's what we do.
Make it easy.
Matt.
I won't be here for it.
All right, project report. Plat 10 Phase 1, we're gonna get the final pay request processed on that, so we can get that finally off the books. Final amount, the retainage that was being held was $8,000. Phase 2, all the punch list is done. We've, kind of hit an impasse with Martin on the crack in the asphalt on one of the driveways there, so unfortunately, we'll have to have the attorney send Martin a default notice, and if he doesn't respond, then we will have to go the bond route, you know, to get them to finish it up if he refuses, so.
Well, they're too busy doing the bridge in Byron.
Well, they haven't actually refused. They just put up a stink, that's all that.
Yeah,
I do expect that they'll do it.
yeah, I'm hoping the attorney's letter will
Prod them into it.
prod them in the direction we want them to be prodded here, so.
Well, there's no point in having a warranty, and which we haven't even gotten to.
Right, we
You
haven't
know?
even got to the warranty yet, this is still punch list, so
Yeah.
we're not even in the one-year warranty, so.
All right.
Sidewalk project, nothing, no update there. The culvert project, forget this, 'cause evidently the extension on that occurred after I had already put this together. I got this over to Sandy either Tuesday or Wednesday last week before the 4th of July, 'cause we were gonna be off. I wanna make sure she had it. So obviously they're not starting on July 1st, but I do see looks like some Julie locates out there, you know, and stuff, so hopefully they're getting things marked to get ready to go. North Junction Road is on hold. Nothing with, Old Crossing pond repairs. Corey talked to Stenstrom, they're looking at end of July or early August. They'd like to see if they can dry out the bottom of the pond a little bit more. Hopefully, if it stays hot and dry, they can get in earlier than later if we can keep this warm, dry weather going, so. Make sure Corey stays in contact with Stenstrom to see if we can move the schedule up if it does stay more hot and dry. Microsurfacing, nothing. The Big Park Pond, nothing to report there. The water main extension to the maintenance building in Autumn Wolf Lane, just waiting for the final waiver of liens, and then we can process final pay request there and take that one off the list. The water tower painting, I brought the contracts with me from the contractor, they're executed. Just need Sandy's and Rick's signature there. We'll probably be having the pre-construction sometime this month. Contractor's looking to start in August, but we're still doing a little bit of coordination work with everybody involved on top of the tower. We did meet with Verizon in early June. I don't know, it's not our battle with them. The person we met with Verizon is a contractor for Verizon, and he's been instructed to move the antennas off the tower because that's part of the agreement, but obviously Village just sent them a letter saying that, you know, they want all the stuff removed, so by the time they move it off and temporarily put it on something, it's not going back on the tower. So, but that's just
That
between...
apparently is debatable, but we'll get into it another.
Yeah, so I'm not getting involved there. He's just, the guy that we met with is there just to get the stuff off the tower like they're supposed to.
How
so.
long does it usually take once you start doing all that stuff for the tower, the sandblast and everything? What is the time frame for that?
It'll probably be 60 days if the weather holds. What they're gonna probably do first is, especially with the antennas that are on the tower, what they're probably gonna do is, go in and blast and paint what I call the interior wet, where the water sits, 'cause that's gotta cure out, you know, and stuff for about 30 days before we can actually put water back in it and disinfect and test it. So they'll probably do that first, and then they'll go to the exterior, which they'll put up the containment on the outside, and then they'll blast the exterior, get all that painted, and probably the last thing they'll do is is paint the, access tube, 'cause there's some cabling and rigging that goes up through the center of the tower, you know, for the containment that goes in there, so. And then we'll work with everybody that's on the tower. We've already talked to LR Communications. They're gonna be doing an assessment. We went through all the pictures that we had of the top of the tower with Corey from LR, and he thinks some of the stuff is no longer in operation, so we asked him to remove that. There's some stuff that can come off temporarily, 'cause he can backfeed, the system, and then there's some things that we may just end up having to work around, so we'll have to work with that with our contractor, and then, we'll be contacting 911 as well. Sounds like 911 uses the same contractor that LR Communications does, so we'll get all that coordinated, so. And then we may try to figure out, the village has equipment up there as well, we just need to figure out what's still operational up there, and then we may just work with that contractor that works for LR and 911 to maybe do some temporary relocation with it, so. And then, last one is Village Hall assessment. Alan's got all the interviews done, and, sounds like he got majority of the responses back from the board members. Next step is they're gonna start, you know, working on taking those interview information and responses and start looking, laying out what space is really needed for Village Hall, and once we get the space requirements, what we think is needed for Village Hall, then we can determine whether it can be fit in this, or you need to look at something else.
Sounds
So
great.
probably, hopefully by, you know, August, they'll get through that assessment, and then we'll just figure on sometime to come back. I'm assuming Alan's gonna probably meet with Sandy and staff somehow, some way, either social distancing, to kinda go through it and then bring it to the board.
I'm glad to see the board finally doing something with this, because for the years previous, and Brenda can probably attest to this as well, is we would talk about it, and it would just sit, and then we'd talk about it, and it would just sit. So, glad to see the board actually doing something with it.
That's all I've got.
All right, get back away from Matt here. Community development and events.
All I have is the fireworks that we had Friday night. I thought we had a decent turnout. I didn't come across any issues when I was walking around. People pretty much social distance, I thought, themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chris and I were driving around, and there were probably only, between the bike path and the pond, there were probably only 10 groups of people.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton.
What's that?
There wasn't a ton.
No. And
There were a lot of people by their cars.
Most of the people stayed by their cars in the parking lot or along the streets. Didn't see any issues with anybody, talked to a lot of people, asked them how they were doing, you know, how they were enjoying the show, how they enjoyed the show afterwards, and, it had really good reception.
Yeah, I didn't,
And amazingly, I mean, granted, we didn't fit nearly as many cars in the parking lot, or in the 14 acres, but it was amazing to see how well people just went in and parked. Maybe we've been overthinking this for a long time.
For you, did you have any issues?
You know, I mean, all the people we had doing it, and it, give them a lot of credit, because they just went in and did it, and there weren't nobody arguing or yelling or screaming or anything at anybody. It was very calm.
I talked to a lot of people who were out of town that were like standing there and they're like not trying to figure out where they were gonna sit. And I literally was like, have you ever been here? They're like, no. I'm like, oh, I said, do you wanna stay here? Do you wanna go somewhere else? And I literally sent them on the other side of the concession stand. I said, 'cause they're shot on the other side. So there's a pond, and they were very grateful. They had children. I said, and there's a playground right there.
And there were numerous people asked about restrooms,
Mhm.
even though we had signs up saying there were no restrooms. And then afterwards, we went around and collected all the signs. I think we got them all.
yeah, well,
I
I
didn't
don't know.
It was just those.
Not as many as you said, but
Well, I don't
we
know
got
if
all we saw.
The only one we ended up with less than what you said was the explosive ones. And I don't know how many of them we actually put up.
I don't
with,
know how many they put out either.
But we took 5 down. Unsure how many were, but I think it was good. I really think the show was fantastic. I only saw one naysayer on all of DJ Rants, which really surprised me. I figured there'd be more, but the one person posted twice, that's like, meh.
There was a lot of, people who tagged the village and said thank you afterwards as well.
It was, I think it was well worth the little effort we put into it. Just really started thinking as the night was going on, just how much we've probably overthought this in the past.
Well, we also didn't have concessions either.
That's true,
Yeah.
In a movie in the park.
that's true.
Well, I'm sure when we can have bathrooms open and the rest, it'll be a little bit more, but it was still, it was a nice reprieve from all the other stuff for
Yeah,
everybody.
'cause normally when we have bathrooms open, we bring in porta potties and
You know, and,
that.
Yeah, no, and Guy mentioned that to us.
I talked to Dina before the meeting tonight, and, she told me she couldn't be here, but she said that, she could see them from her house, she was in her front yard watching them, and it was a great show, and, there were other people wandering around that were sitting on the streets watching as well from the subdivision, so I think it worked out well.
You know, I did have one problem with the show, not the show itself.
So they made you ride with me?
No,
Oh.
when we found the people inside the cordoned off area
Oh,
that, you know, probably shouldn't have been there, even if they're with the
Crew. that
yeah, the
plan.
crew. But, you know, there were 20 kids, a bunch of
'Cause they
parents.
usually come with them.
Well, but it
right?
looks bad when you're
Uh-huh.
telling people you can't come past this point, even though there was, as far as I could tell, there was just that one guy sitting right next to the
the
rope.
one guy, he was
single
right at the rope all by himself.
But having, you know, picnic tables worth of family members right across from the fireworks probably isn't the greatest example. Was my only issue with it.
And the only other thing I have is, I don't know if you heard back, but I had scheduled the movie for August 15th.
I have not yet,
Okay.
I did ask.
We're waiting to hear from the screen people. Swank has okayed it, but
15th, you said?
August 15th, yes.
Farmers market?
Yes, and Farmers Market is up on our webpage to start accepting applications. I know I called past vendors, if I could get through to them to let them know. So please, get your application filled out so we can have a farmer's market by the end of the month. Would be the last Wednesday, what is that, the 29th? 29th? So. and-
Do you have anything for finance? Finance. You used to be finance. Ordinance enforcement.
Nothing.
Do you wanna bring up the food trucks under ordinance enforcement?
Sure. I had a note and I forgot. So, I got a call asking if, we would allow a food truck in the C3 district, which is the commercial corridor, specifically in front of the strip mall. One of the people in the strip mall would really like to have a food truck come every once in a while. The dilemma is that is a special use in that district, so the person absolutely can apply for a special use permit. Or, at Dan's recommendation, they could wait until the public hearing on the food trucks will hopefully be next month, at the beginning of August, and then we will have updated our zoning before the middle of August, and then the food trucks will be allowable in the C3 district as a temporary use anyway at that time.
Or they could fill one out and come to the farmer's market.
They could, that's a separate one, but so we're talking a different district
Right.
here, so this is the C2 district, and that's the C3 district. C3 does have it as a special use, whereas the food truck the coffee truck is currently located in the C2, where it's not allowed at all, which is why we allowed him to be there until we can figure this out. The change to the zoning would allow, food trucks in every district, but as a temporary use that's monitored by the village, you still fill out a little application.
I know they do this in Rockford, at Mississippi, one day a week. I think it's Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Nicholas
And it is,
Conservatory.
so I drive by it on my way home every Tuesday, and it's packed.
It is, again,
Another-
two different districts where we would be doing it down here, if Jen was running it with the farmer's market, is in a different district than where they're asking to.
Right.
It's not allowable at all in this district. It's already allowed in that district as a special use, so if they want to do something prior to us changing the zoning code, all they'd have to do is fill out a.
Just get back to them and let them know that.
But how do they do that? Isn't that private property?
They-
The landlord is well aware of this. I will say the business that asks us to do these things has usually already spoken with their
All right.
landlord, and so Stenstrom is aware of all the activities, and I actually asked for proof that Stenstrom has approved the activities before they occur.
All right.
So, I guess the question was, do you guys want to allow it, or allow him to fill out a special use, or tell him to just wait until August?
But you're telling us that he's supposed to fill out a special use, right?
He is,
Currently, it's allowed under a special use.
Yeah.
and
So
that
So it's already allowable.
Yep.
There shouldn't be
The
a,
thing with the special use is, there's a lot of money tied to it.
There is, because it's not meant for food trucks, it's meant for having a business that doesn't belong there in there, and so it's quite cumbersome.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Right, so I mean, what she's asking is, do we want to allow them to come in similar to what we did with the farmer's market, or the coffee truck, but where the coffee truck's at, it's not allowed at all.
But theoretically, taking care of the whole issue in August,
Yes,
yes.
So, do we wanna do a temporary thing? Do we wanna make them follow the special use, or do we just,
Dan's recommendation was follow the special use and wait until it's fixed.
Mhm.
But that's his legal recommendation, obviously, you guys get the final say.
That's what I would do.
I don't care, it doesn't matter to me either way. You know, I don't wanna keep somebody out if Stenstrom allows them in
well,
and
I
they
think,
wanna use it, I have no issue with
I
it.
guess my best input to it is, first of all, was, if it is special use, they have the ability to go through it. But again, like you said, it's built more towards putting a business in there that's not supposed to be there, not a temporary use kind of thing. So that is kind of cumbersome for temporary use. And one of the things that I think a lot of people in our village are craving is something other than pizza and burgers that you can get in a food truck. It would be kinda nice once in a while.
They're bringing burgers.
Oh, is that what they are?
Special burgers,
Chris.
they're bringing.
Well, but like, I mean, in Rockford, just to throw, you've got you got different
Yeah.
taco trucks, you've got a walk, truck, there's numerous ones in
I was
there.
gonna say, I got contacted
There's the
by
one,
to come for the.
there's a chicken truck,
Mhm.
I think it's called the Cluck Stops Here.
Yeah, I see this.
So, I mean, there's numerous different things that could end up down here.
Yeah, I just need direction from you whether or not to allow it for right now. If I do allow it for right now, I still would request the solicitor's permit, because that's what we request for the farmer's market. And then if we choose not to allow it, they're waiting 30 days for it to be an allowable use.
Well,
I would do the special
Go ahead.
use permit
Yeah,
because
I
you
just
can't
think that's,
change the rules.
but that's a lot of work for nothing, for a temporary.
I think it's awfully cumbersome for.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody who's gonna pull up, stay, they're not gonna do it for a year, they might do it for a few weeks or a month or a couple months, but they're not gonna do it forever.
And if the board chose to allow it, we would set down the same restrictions we do for the coffee truck, which is it's allowable until the board passes the zoning. Once the zoning is passed, they then have to come in and reapply and follow the rules of the new zoning code.
And that's what I'm for that, I'm
Yeah,
for easing
I'm
it up
for
on
that too, but, what do you think?
I agree with what
I'm fine with it,
Which way? I mean,
special use permit.
John?
Rick said, let them come in, see what happens, and they can always.
There's two of you at special use and two of you at allowing it, so this is,
How about we discuss it again next week?
Well,
we'll be discussing this again next
Allow them
week.
to come in, I guess,
What's that?
allow them to come in.
Yep.
There we go, now we gotta.
Now we have a.
Alright, so am I getting,
Jerry.
am I being directed then to write a letter, to have the attorneys write a letter to these people? Everybody's okay
Same,
with that?
same guidelines as the coffee truck.
Guideline of the
Yeah.
coffee truck,
Yes.
it will only be
Yep.
valid for about 30 days until that zoning passes.
Yep, but it'll give them something to do in the meantime, without costing a ton of
It'll
money to
give
do
our
it.
residents something.
Yeah.
Well, as Brenda mentioned over here in a side note, she said, and sales tax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause
didn't even think about that.
That needs to be in the letter as well.
It will be, we learned our lesson already.
Yes,
And I will actually have gone to providing that tax document with the letter.
excellent.
Yeah, so we don't know how to fill this out.
Yeah, 'cause it'd be nice to have like Olivio's Tacos down here.
They're all gonna get bigger and bigger.
Hmm?
Those are good.
Yes, they are.
So, all right, that's all I had.
All right, parks.
Nothing this evening.
Actually,
Street.
I have a question.
Yeah, back up.
Did we go to you?
Did we,
Did we go to you?
did he,
I missed that.
do the bid yet for the trees removal?
Yeah.
I know he
We
said.
did the food trucks under
Yeah, it
him,
was already
Okay,
done.
well, that's, I couldn't remember and I couldn't.
'cause it falls under
Yeah,
ordinance
it
and
was
stuff.
under the consent agenda, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's, and I was like, gonna go back, I was like,
Yep, we sure did.
okay, just double checking. That's
All
it,
right. Good, parks,
nothing.
streets.
You wanna bring up those couple quotes that he got? Fergie tried to get 3 quotes, but one company didn't answer, and we got 2 others. What was the, one was just over 20,000. Yeah, 29. Anything under 25 doesn't need to be, Public Works project doesn't need to be bid out, so if,
But as long as the board agrees, it doesn't
Right.
need to be bid out.
right, well, I'm saying, by law, it doesn't need to be, it's up to the board. But we got 2, couldn't get the third person to answer, right? Who was the third company?
That's lots of zeros.
But, Edson is, you wanna tell him the condition of it? You could probably speak to it better than I could.
It's gross. It's gross.
Right, and we don't even, truthfully, we're not even sure when they're gonna be able to do it, so it might still be a while. And they're putting sand, not sand, what do you?
We're using our leftover ag line, so
Right.
we're doing that,
Um,
probably move that
as
2
a-
times a week.
As a Band-Aid until we can get the A1 cover on it. You have it up there?
Mm-hmm. There's the first quote,
Yep, that's the first quote,
and then the second quote has all the zeros.
Yeah.
With no
Look at
line.
all that
Yeah,
stuff,
look at
they're-
the bottom.
all that stuff they're not.
The
charging
bottom
us
part
for.
is the important part, 'cause that's 29,000.
We get all this white space for free.
Which is, what is it, 29?
432.
Which is almost $9,000 more.
Now, which one do you usually work with? Civil, okay.
And they do the most in this area, so they're well qualified and,
Yep.
they're under the bid limit. Is anybody opposed to us using civil to do the,
What, you want the civil bid put on the agenda next week?
that was my, yeah, as long as nobody has any opposition to it, I'd like to get that now before we go.
Make it happen, Sandy.
I'll put it on the consent agenda.
Yeah, it looks bad. Hopefully, we can get it done pretty soon so that we don't have any issues. I'd hate for somebody to slide off the road
I
or
guess I needed back.
tear it up so much.
All 4 of you are in favor of it being civil?
Yeah.
I am.
Talk to you for, not me.
Then I can do a consent, but I have to have a majority vote, so
Yeah.
I'll stick it on the consent as long as
Okay.
everybody's good.
Oh, and the other thing was, and I don't even know if this is, really a board concern, but, 2 of the projects that we have currently with Willett Hoffman, they're gonna do a change order to extend the time frame for, our Pacific Avenue construction and for the Ogle Crossings Pond, construction, just for weather purposes. I'm not sure if it's a huge issue, it's just the time, extending the
Yeah.
time so that they can get, dry enough period to complete it without any issues, especially the Pacific. The Ogle Crossings Pond looks like it's about as dry as I've ever seen it. But, I don't have an issue with them extending the time frame because it isn't, I don't wanna say a nuisance, it's not inconveniencing anybody. It's in the ditch, it's out of the way. When they do the when they do the Pacific Avenue, it'll still be the same time frame, whether they did it in July or August, it'll take how long it takes, and they're not gonna start it. And so it's not gonna extend it, it's not like the road construction where on Red Fox, we had to wait for 3 months because ComEd and, Nicor couldn't move their stuff, and it was inconveniencing everybody, it was a royal pain, so I don't really have a problem with that. Is that something that needs to be, board approve the time extension?
It probably should be,
I told him to ask you, 'cause, I mean, it's a change to a contract, so my gut
Right.
reaction says yes, but
it's a change order, it has to go through the,
But we don't approve the contracts that you sign either, like, you're gonna sign these contracts and they haven't read them, but they approve them.
but I'm not changing the contract, the contract remains the same.
Yeah.
So we're doing
Yeah,
a
but-
change order to the contract, we should run it through approval.
Okay, yeah, that's why I told him to ask you.
Whether it's, every time we do a change order, that's a cost.
Yes.
we approve it.
There's-
No, that I
So it's
understand.
no different.
Yeah.
That I get, because that,
Well,
that,
But that's why I said
this one
it's-
technically would have cost implications, you know, and stuff, because if the
Right.
board decides, no, for some reason, we don't wanna give the extension, then, you know,
Right.
then
We're
you can go into
we're better off
liquidated
to
damages.
dot the i's and cross the t's and make the,
Then I'll just toss them on the consent agenda for
Yeah.
next week if anybody.
yeah, well, does anybody have a problem extending, the timeframe that, to allow them?
It'll be for this one and for the Ogle Crossings detention pond.
Right.
Which isn't in your board packet 'cause I didn't get it in time.
That, well, we could put it in for next
I
week.
can't,
but-
that's why I said if
Yeah,
everybody's okay with it,
yeah,
I'll talk.
yeah,
about it.
it's
Yeah.
just,
Fine.
I don't remember, how much did they extend it by?
79 days.
Or total, they didn't extend it by 79 days, right?
I think it says.
It says right here,
increased. It will be
contract time will be
increased
increased by
79
79.
days.
Yep,
Yes, the date goes
September
to,
30th.
September
It's
30th.
up there.
Really? Must have been an awful short period, holy crap.
It's not quite 3 months. It's all
I'm
good.
gonna say it's
All
up
right.
there, Matt.
I don't have an issue with it,
Yep.
as long as we're not inconveniencing anybody with the construction, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Everybody okay with consent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Anything
it for
further?
streets, right?
All right.
Unless you have anything else?
Anybody have anything on the utility stuff?
I do the first one, and he's gonna do the second one.
Okay,
So for the last couple of months, this village has waived the disconnection at the same time that we have been waiving fees. During the last resolution that was passed, I didn't catch it, but it said that the disconnections would be waived or forfeited, whatever the word is, until the later of June 1st, or the Ogle County is no longer under declared an emergency. So we're stuck in this conundrum right now where we're gonna need to pass another resolution essentially starting disconnections again. I've got probably 10 people who will be on the shut-off list the moment I get approval from you guys. I've got one person who's got a $450 bill right now.
oof,
They had a $250 bill before all this started, paid nothing during all of this, must have filled a pool or something. They're at like $450 at this point. So, Dina's gonna be asking next week to turn on, or to start disconnections again.
Sure.
She did mention to me, and she'll probably mention next week, that we might do it slightly different because 3 of them are on payment arrangements, and so we may give them 14 days notice, whereas the payment arrangement says we don't have to give them any notice. So we may still give them some leeway to say, hey, guys, you need to come pay. But, Dina next week will be asking to turn on water, or to start disconnecting water again.
Has anybody contacted you to say, hey,
No, and everybody who had a bill of more than $50 in on June 1st, when I did the billing cycle, anybody who had, no, we did 50%, so it must have been May 1st. May 1st, when I did the billing cycle, we sent letters to every person who had a bill of more than $50, saying, hey, guys, now's your opportunity, call us if you need to make a payment arrangement, we understand you have a past due balance, we tried to give you some leeway here, let us know. I'd say of the 27 letters I sent, probably 15 of those people paid. Some of them were just like, oh, I forgot. So, it's literally the same 5 or 10 people every cycle, and it's just ballooned out of control with us not having water shut off,
all right,
so.
Does that usually get their attention?
The water shut off?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Very rarely do we actually shut off a water. However, we're gonna have some conundrums this time, because for us to, once we've posted your door that we're shutting off your water, the only way to stop us is to pay your entire past due balance.
Ooh.
Some of these past due balances are $300.
well, that's where they probably should have called and tried to make an
Yeah.
arrangement.
Yes, and so
That's why I was asking.
Dina was very good about, she typed up that letter and I sent it to everybody with more than $50 balance. So everybody's had an opportunity and been asked to please contact us if they need something. And we also put it on the May, when we did the half off, we put it in there too, to let people know if they need to make arrangements. So,
Everybody good with that?
yeah, and so it'll be under Dina as a separate item, not on the consent agenda, because you guys haven't seen that resolution, but that's what she'll be asking for next week.
All right, Brett?
I can talk about this, or Matt can, or I can talk, and he
Oh.
can correct me when I'm wrong. Basically, what you're seeing here is so everyone, I'm assuming, is familiar with the 3Bs, recycling yard, down at the corner, and getting them city water. So basically, IDOT requires a utility permit, to put their water service in, because it falls, basically, our water main is in IDOT right away. And feel free to stop me anytime, Matt.
No, go ahead, you're good.
So, basically, the gist of it is, IDOT will not go after, I shouldn't say go after, so. Basically, I'll give you an example of the best thing. So, let's say we hook the water service up and IDOT decides 10 years down the road to go ahead and do a street project, a road project. That water service has to be moved, whatever, blah, blah, blah. IDOT will, what's the best, I don't wanna say go after, but look for money from the landowner, resident, whatever.
Yeah, the utility permit, when you get a utility permit for, you know, a municipal utility permit, whether it's water or sewer, if you're in the state right away, the state comes through there, the utility permit is to grant you permission to put the utility in there, but it also gives IDOT the right that if they go to make improvements, and their improvements are gonna cause, you know, your utility's in conflict with their improvements, it's the utility owner's cost to move that utility. So, with 3Bs, 3Bs is trying to hook up a utility to your utility, the service. They will not, by their memorandum, have a utility permit with a private entity, because they know in the past that if they go to a private entity to try to get that, you know, moved, it's little or no chance of the private entity going to do that. So in this case, since it's a utility that is connecting to a municipal utility, they're gonna allow his contractor to put it in, but they want the utility permit through the village, so if that utility would have to be moved in the future, they're gonna come to the village to have that moved. And basically, the service is coming 8 feet out onto the state right away. So if there's ever a conflict, at least in this instance, if there's ever a conflict there, the village is gonna be moving their main, and when they move the main, you could easily reconnect his service, you know, and stuff back up to it. I kinda doubt that it'd be a big cost for the village to incur to reconnect his service, 'cause more than likely, if you're moving it, you're gonna be moving it further east. They're gonna widen that right away, and they're gonna have you move that water main further east, which basically, if you move further east, his service is going to the east, so it's really just gonna be a matter of reconnecting it and tapping it to the main. So, I don't think there's a real big potential dollar exposure to the village if IDOT would have you move that utility and have to reconnect it, but they basically just won't do it. The closest thing that we had to it was, that one back then was an access permit. I don't know if you remember, Rick, the recycling place. There was an air release on the force main that, for that lift station that was no longer there. That air release structure was in the driveway approach. Well, the recycling place didn't do the driveway approach correctly, and IDOT wanted it changed. Well, they up and left, and I think the village ended up, after a while, just correcting it and getting it taken care of, even though technically you didn't have the permit wasn't with you, IDOT just wanted to get it corrected, and the village just took care of it since it was related to your utility there, so.
And the only other thing we could do, if the board wanted to do it, which I don't know if it's necessary, we would have to set up an agreement then, or however you wanna word it, with 3Bs, if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, IDOT,
Which, I don't know if that's necessary, but.
IDOT said some communities that they get involved, if there's a number of in this case, services that they're dealing with, the communities might have individual agreements with the private entities. So the IDOT has the agreement with you, village would have the agreement with each of the individual property owners, and
Yeah,
It-
and we'd be in the same position that IDOT.
IDOT would be in,
right?
trying to get somebody to
That's kind
move
of
it.
worthless. Just, our water main isn't already in IDOT's right of way?
It's in IDOT's right of way, it is.
So we would
yeah.
have to move ours anyway.
Yes, you'd have to move yours anyway.
All right.
It would be a pretty major project for IDOT. I mean, if we did
Yeah.
that.
They would literally
I'm
have
sure
to-
it's unlikely,
That would
right?
be major.
I mean, they would literally have to be widening that,
Yeah.
and they would be buying right away from probably 3Bs and,
Yes.
you know, adding turn lanes or doing something down there to where it would have to move.
So pretty much what Matt said.
But 3Bs is basically kind of stuck unless, basically the village signs a utility easement, or utility permit.
They've been fine working with them, and
Yes, because
They've been good to work
we,
with.
we already told them they couldn't have a well, so
Yeah.
we probably can't tell them they, you know, that's up to you guys, but
If the board is in favor of us signing this utility permit, I will just take it on for consent agenda next week.
Please.
I'm in favor of
I'm
it.
fine with that.
Yes.
Alright, I'll take it on for approval on the consent agenda. I don't know if it needs it or not, but I think in this scenario, it's probably best, so if somebody goes back to look at the record and wants to know how this got passed, we know how. Alright?
Anybody have any unfinished business? Before we go to public, don't know if you guys saw the back of the IML
Mm-hmm.
review,
Yeah.
been canceled this year.
We got an email.
Yes, 'cause I sent an email asking everybody to register,
Mhm.
and then about 5 hours later, they.
Was it I didn't even think it was that long.
I didn't
I'm
think
thinking
it was that long.
that.
I was like, I waited to send the email with the hope that they were gonna, like, make an announcement, and then nothing.
I wanna say it was like 15.
We have no public, does anybody wanna say anything as public?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Jared makes a motion to adjourn, Chris seconds.
Hey, now I didn't get to do it.
All in favor, say aye.
I.
Any opposed, say nay. I could come up with all kinds of words for this. Motion passes we're so adjourned at 7:54.